Good morning, and welcome to this second Sunday in Easter. Peace be with you. If I were physically with you, I might walk down the aisle and say to you, peace be with you. I would call you by name. Xanda, peace be with you. Joe, peace be with you. I would shake your hands, or I would hug you. But like Jesus says to Mary Magdalene when she tries to hold on to him, you might say, don't hold on to me. We must practice social distancing before the ascension comes. I would be like Mary, who longs to be in physical connection. But I would also have to be like Mary, having to adjust the way I show love now that it is Easter. Things have changed. So much is changing in the ways that we interact since death is making a long visit on our human race. Now, not visiting, now, not hugging is a way to show love, to keep one another safe. Now, to practice distance is a way to care for the most vulnerable. In our time and in our place, Jesus this Easter makes the same announcement, coming to us behind locked doors and declaring, peace be with you. What does the old Easter story tell us about what it means to announce peace in a time of great turmoil? Our reading from the Gospel of John tells us that a week after Jesus rose from the dead, the disciples were sheltering in place. Mary Magdalene's report that she had seen the Lord makes them puzzle. But they were also afraid. Has the world changed now that Christ is risen? How? What does the conquering of death mean when the Romans are still in charge and the religious authorities have not changed their tunes? And what will become of them? Will they suffer as Jesus has suffered? They look around. One of them, Judas, has disappeared. They know that they too betrayed Jesus. Even though they wouldn't want to admit it, they understand Judas. They had a certain vision of the world he wanted, and when he didn't get it, he caved with fear and became part of the forces of destruction, forces he had defined himself against. The disciples also fled from Jesus after the arrest, disappearing into the night as Judas had done. Jesus walked the way of sorrows without them beside him. He died without them. They abandoned Jesus. All that was wrong with the world before Jesus died has not changed now that Jesus is risen, as far as they can tell. But now they were even more uncertain. They don't know what kind of vision to have of this world. Paralyzed by fear, they lock themselves in the upper room. But the risen Christ surprises them. He walks through locked doors and locked imaginations. When he says to them, when he sees them, he says, peace be with you. Jesus does not come and say, hey, you jerks, you betrayed me, you abandoned me, you left me alone to die by myself, you bunch of chickens. Instead, the risen Christ declares peace. And then he recreates them with the Holy Spirit and teaches them to forgive. We hear the gospel saying, Jesus said, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I send you." When he says this, he breathes on them and says, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them. If you retain the sins of any, they are retained." Jesus is doing something new with them in the resurrection. He's giving them new life, a future of freeing one another with peace and forgiveness, because they are receiving it from Him right now. This is what resurrection is. It is the reality that new life emerges even out of betrayal, suffering, abandonment, and death, the places of greatest human failure and human frailty. It isn't always easy to believe that this can happen, especially when we are afraid to touch the most wounded parts of life. And this is the struggle for Thomas the twin, who needs to touch the wounds of Jesus, like all the other disciples got to do. You must touch the wounds to believe that new life is possible. Crucifixion and resurrection really are two sides of the same coin. What does Thomas know when he puts his finger into the wound of Jesus? Does he see the Holy Spirit hovering over the chaos of the primordial world, creating and calling into existence the stars and the planets? Does he grieve an old world dying, one in which he thinks he knows who he is? Does he see his old self dying? Does he see himself being born from above? Does he feel warm love coursing his veins, love like oxygen, answering his longing for courage and hope? What does he expect? Chastisement for his need? No. All he knows is the yes to his need. And he cries out, "My Lord and my God." He believes. Believing in the Gospel of John is not an intellectual assent. It is about a living relationship with Jesus. Thomas' response to his living relationship with Jesus makes him exclaim, "My Lord and my God." Thomas is called the twin in the Gospel of John, but we don't ever meet his twin in the book. One way of thinking about this is to consider that we are his twin, with the same need for relationship with Jesus' wounds and our own, and with the same promise of love as the response. We too may believe through a living relationship with the resurrected and ascended Christ. The way to this is as Jesus demonstrated with the disciples while sheltering in place. The way is to take the peace of Jesus, to be recreated by the Holy Spirit, to extend Jesus' peace through the practice and declaration of forgiveness. This is what resurrection means in a world of turmoil. There is new life and peace within the chaos and pain. We are twins of Thomas, especially as the parish of St. Thomas. We are twins of question, twins of longing, twins of being met in our great need, twins of the experience of new life even in the midst of all that is unanswered and resolved. Like Thomas, we are invited to touch the woundedness in life and know that in the midst of all this turmoil and confusion and pain, the God in Jesus announces peace. So, peace be with you. Jim, peace be with you. Anne, peace be with you. Pat, peace be with you. Peace, my friends. Peace is at hand. Peace be with you.